Good evening to those of you who are here early. Getting started in a couple minutes. Welcome. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be with you again live. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for doing that. We are here on our third day in a row of spending this time together, looking at what we often are faced with in the new year, but how to work with this on the level of inspiration, motivation, connection, but from a place of actually feeling that and working with what arises within us so We actually feel like this is something where we can feel motivated, sustained, and feel actually inspired, not for necessarily one big specific goal, just a way of moving through the year or through your life where you feel like you're connected to something that matters to you and not forcing goals through willpower and pressure and stress and the things we usually do and the ways we often relate to ourselves. Let me check on that for the folks on the Zoom that said they might have had an issue coming in. Just give me one sec here. And in the meantime, let me put this up on the screen here. And we'll talk a little bit about the theme of sustainable energy. So this whole subject is about making it actually sustainable and something we're able to actually work with. So one thing that is definitely not sustainable, for example, is going purely on, okay, every day I've decided I'm not going to eat sugar anymore. Or I've decided I'm going to undertake this meditation practice on a daily basis. And that can feel, inspiring in a way, especially initially, like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I am going to dedicate myself to no sugar. And it's really interesting because we had a group call today, and more than 5 people, after someone talked about not eating sugar this year, agreed, like, oh yeah, that's a thing for me too. That's something I'm interested in exploring, or it's a issue for me. It's a challenge to kind of continue working with trying to have less sugar. And so this kind of experience, when it's based on, okay, no sugar, right? I'm going to focus on not doing something. There's a lot of challenge with that inherently. So just seeing if you have a goal, like my goal is to not do fill in the blank this year. The very relationship to that is one of, okay, there's something my body, my nervous system, my mind is used to. It gives me a certain experience. And then I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to not have or shut down that inner emotional experience. So baked into that, there's very little room for actual inspiration and connection, right? It's purely, what can I not do? Or trying to not do something. That's a lot of willpower without something that actually moves you in a direction that is motivating and inspiring on any kind of consistent basis, right? You're not going to be let's say 12 days in and be like, oh, I'm so energized and inspired and excited to not be eating sugar. It's just going to be kind of difficult, maybe a little challenging, maybe, oh, it doesn't really feel accessible to me. But this sense of, okay, how do I connect to something that's actually meaningful? Well, if we take an example like no sugar, we would connect to why, right? Why is this a goal for you? And an obvious thing in that case might be health, for example. But what is the feeling that eating sugar, for example, gives you? So this is a more interesting way to look at it, right? When you have something like sugar or whatever it is that you're trying to stop doing, there is a feeling that you get. And it was really interesting exploring this today with the group, how there was this sense of different emotions, different connections and associations. Some felt comforted and safe, like eating the sugar or eating the candy or dessert was kind of like a warm blanket. And for others, it was connected to certain childhood memories, for example. Very, very common with something like food, smells, right? These things are established when we're really, really young. And it can feel like the desire or the pull towards that food or towards that thing reconnects you with that emotional experience that meant so much to you. So when you start looking at it in that direction, right, even something like no sugar or go to the gym, underneath it there is an energy, a feeling, an inspiration of sorts that we can actually connect to. So just play with that for a second. Even if your goal or thought for this year is, I want to do less of fill in the blank, notice, well, when I do that thing, what is it I get? What is the emotional experience that it provides me? And you might find that there is something in it that your body, your mind, your nervous system actually gravitates toward. So any type of experience, whether it's something we're working towards or away from, there is something in the body, in the emotional experience that says, there's something I want to feel or experience. And we can be able to sort of connect to that. Oh, hi, Christine. Nice to see you. And Sylvia, you're there too. And I just sent Zoom link. Should be corrected. There's some people here on Zoom, so I'm not sure why. But if you want to join on Zoom, everyone, you can. There's a link there in the YouTube chat. Or I sent it an email to those who registered. So yeah, not eating sugar. I see in the chat here that that's also not be without money to support me fully. Right, and the idea of this year I don't want to be without money, right? In it is a sort of fear, right? There's something almost, I don't want to experience this feeling of no money. And you can be initially motivated to like get out of a situation, but it's really hard to sustain a sense of like stability and motivation and inspiration from a place of this is what I don't want. So it's not so much like a law of attraction. You think like, oh, you can't think about what you don't want. Just think about it in terms of when you woke up in the morning as a younger child and there was something you were excited to go draw or paint or play with. That was an inherently inspiring, you wouldn't have used that word at a young age, it just moved your body in a particular direction. There was something about it that said, I want to do this. Now, as a child, if you were to try to imagine, okay, I want to not feel fear. That does not pull you with any kind of motivation or energy or inspiration. It's starting from a place of fear, looking for a way out of that fear. So that's not like a battery that can charge you with inspiration and continued sort of motivation, right? So just notice that for a moment. And as we played with for the last couple days, right, how you relate to yourself. Great opportunity for this time of year, whether you do the goal thing or not, or you look at inspiration versus resolutions like we did yesterday. How do you relate to it? Okay, this is the year I fix myself. You cannot sustain that day after day after day. You can do it. It's draining. It's exhausting. But we're talking about sustainable energy. And again, energy does not, like, sustainable energy means something you can realistically maintain. So the idea of I am doggedly, aggressively go-getter every day, I'm just full of energy, that's also not realistic. That's not being a human in a human body, right? That is a sense of I am idealizing, we talked about this the other day, energy and inspiration as this sort of disembodied, oh, when I get this right mindset, everything's going to click. I'm going to wake up feeling so energized and inspired every single day. That's not realistic. That's not sustainable, right? What is the way of being that actually lets you keep showing up, Keep working on your projects. Take a break when your body needs it and not freak out about it. Not lose your entire momentum when life throws you a curveball and you have to take a couple days to adjust, right? So sustainable energy is about that. It's about a way of being with ourselves that we can actually go with the flow. And on the screen here's just a quick refresher, right? Repair mindset. That's whatever's happening within me is bad or wrong. I need to fix it. So again, this year, no sugar. I need to fix the craving. It's bad that my body craves sugar. No, your body or your mind craves sugar because it gives you an emotional experience of comfort or safety or stress relief. So your body's saying, we need some stress relief. The best way we know how to get that is through sugar. Let's go do it. That's helping you out. It doesn't hate you. It's not this sabotaging voice that says, sugar's bad for you, but let's make him crave it, right? There's a difference, right? There's a quality to what it's actually doing and why that we can work with. And that's what we did earlier today with the group, right? That sense of, wait, what is the sugar? What is the feeling it gives me? I'm not making it wrong that the craving arises. I'm actually saying, oh, okay, interesting. Part of me is wanting something. What is that? That's relationship mindset. We are relating to the experience and working with it. So how we relate to the idea of motivation and energy. And just going back to what I was saying before, give yourself a moment to feel into what is your relationship with even those words, energy, motivation. Because for some of us, they've been so kind of colored by like self-help books or different things that we're already burnt out on. We're already like jaded about the things like motivation and energy, and we become like anti that. Motivation is great. It just doesn't have to be this fake, over-the-top, romanticized hustle culture thing. You can be motivated to be a good parent. You can be motivated to take on a spiritual practice or be nicer to people. That's all good. What is your relationship to these words and these ideas? Does motivation invoke that romanticized sense I was talking about earlier, right? There's just got to be this, oh, I have to always be super into it. And if I'm not really super inspired, then I'm not going to do anything. That's not sustainable. You can't run a life or a business or an organization only doing things when you quote unquote feel like it or are super motivated. But the motivation is based on the feeling, right? What we've been connected to over the last few days of, oh, there's a reason, there's a meaning why this matters to me. And I can connect to that, and that can kind of pull me forward. And connection to the body and connection to yourself will tell you what your energy needs to do. So sustainable energy, Karen said that's the block I run into. Sorry, which one? YouTube's on a little bit of a delay, so if you could just let me know, I'd love to hear it. And Christine said that's why I quit things and don't finish my goals. Right, when it's motivated by fear and like my goal this year is just to get out of debt. That's a good goal. But waking up, no child wakes up and thinks, oh, I'm so excited to get out of debt today, right? But there is a way of being. There's something deeper you can connect to that is the reason you want to get out of debt. Right? Connecting to that is sustainable. And connecting to your body helps, again, sustainable energy, because pushing through every day is not actually sustainable. To play the long game, you have to kind of be a little more flexible with, wow, my body needs more rest today. My body needs more rest this week in order to be able to function, to run this business, or to keep this body more healthy during the rest of this year. That's what sustainable energy is. Please notice if you romanticize this like I did for years and years. We're like, Well, what's the tapping? What's the technique to make me have an infinite amount of energy so I don't have to be a human and I don't have to actually manage my energy or connect to my body? I just want tricks and hacks and diets and the right protocols so that I can just be endlessly productive, which is completely based on like productivity culture and is not good for us, right? So notice if this pattern is familiar to you, right? Big push of energy. This is the classic New Year thing. A big push of energy, discipline early on, gradual fade or burnout. And then, because it's not sustainable, it's like, well, maybe next year. It won't be next year because the very way of operating is, by definition, not sustainable. It has to repeat this thing next year because that big push of energy in the way of relating to work, creativity, your goal, your body won't magically change because it's January 1st, 2027. Your relationship with yourself will not change because it's 2029. It is a matter of this way of connecting with ourselves that we've been doing over the last couple days. And so Karen says, letting the feelings, inspiration control what I do and work on. I never finish anything. Yeah, right? So yeah, we touched on this a little earlier, the sort of sweet spot of not turning this into, well, I'll just do it when I feel like it because that's the only way it's sustainable. It's finding that place of doing what I need to do, but understanding why, that it connects to a bigger goal or meaning for us. So remember, sustaining energy for what actually matters involves going with the flow. It's not every day this year I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go to the gym and I do these things. That's not how life works. There will be a day where something will happen. There will be an emergency. Someone could, God forbid, become injured. You could become injured, right? You don't have the blueprint for what the next 365 days looks like. So to sustain energy to move through with something that matters to you, it actually requires flexibility, which is the opposite mindset we tend to get into this time of year, right? It's very inflexible for many of us, and we think that's the way. It's inherently not the way. It can't be the way. Flexibility, the ability to flow with the energy, is the only way, because we don't decide what life or the energy does. Right? I know there's like different schools, like you can create your life entirely. Well, if anyone's actually done that and can show me nothing happened to you this year that you didn't consciously create, please show us. Please teach us, right? For everyone I've ever met, it is seemingly almost chaotic, right? Things happen. Life happens. Our ability to move with that, I think, is mastery. I think that's creativity. And we still have a vision, and we still say, okay, this is where I want to go, but you have to ride the waves and be willing to say, okay, it's looking totally different now. It's a little different than the plan. As we said before, listening to the body in context, right? If the body's exhausted, no one comes down and gives you a medal and says, well, congratulations, Evan. You pushed through your body this week. You get a raise. No, you just burn out, right? We are so habitually trained, at least in a lot of the culture of people I work with, that like that's good. It's good that I'm almost proud that I didn't follow the energy. I'm almost proud that I didn't listen to my body. And I was a good boy this week, and I just like did everything on my to-do list despite everything. Not sustainable, right? And listening to body and context. What's needed right now? And if you've ever been on a call with me where it's more of like a small group, like earlier today, it moves where it goes. If you have a conversation with someone, it moves where it goes. The comments you all put in the chat today changes where it goes. It's not a script. And that's good practice for life, because life doesn't follow the script. And finally, here on the screen, using discipline when needed without drama. And that's where the kind of tapping emotional work stuff comes in, because you can get into a sense of like, oh, like we talked about earlier, I don't want to do my taxes. Or I'm just not going to look at that. Or I'm going to wait till I'm inspired, or I'm going to tap and process emotions and think that that's somehow going to do my taxes. Right? I've worked with, and probably within myself have done, all variations of this. Right? The clearer we get, the more able we are to connect to that vision, the context, the body, the ability to move with the energy, discipline without the drama when it's needed. Today, this just has to get done, right? My kid called sick from school. I need to go pick them up. It is what it is. It changes the plan. If you're like, oh, I can't believe this happened. Oh, why does this always happen to me? Right? There's emotional work there to process through, because that is not sustainable. We're looking at what way of being and relating to ourselves can actually keep us moving in a direction that's useful for us this year, and is also like aligned with reality. So yeah, let's explore this together. So what's coming up for you just in what I've been speaking around so far? Where do you feel like you might resonate with any of the challenges? Do you push your body? Do you find it's difficult, like you connect to a vision or goal early on, but then it just kind of burns out? Do you feel or see your own patterns, or do you not feel them and see them, but you see the external results? Let's see what we've got, and we'll process through it a little bit together here. Got some things on YouTube, right? After decades of burnout, I finally healed enough to say, Christine, rest is key. Rest is priority without judging being lazy. Yeah, that's a great one. Thanks for sharing that. Does anyone experience that? Right, that's a good thing to process on together. That if you do deviate or you need rest, the judgments come in. I'm being lazy. I'm not being as productive as I should be. Let's see, we've got some stuff in the chat here as well. I've been doing really well. Now I'm falling off. Feeling like I need to push myself to get back on track. Okay, thanks for sharing that. That's a great one. And we had some good stuff on that today. I'm going to bring that into this evening as well. Yes, I lose focus and the project fizzles out. And sometimes I give my body too much say in what I do. Interesting. Okay, so we've got the other side of the coin of that. And we all tend to fall on one side or the other. And it's the same coin. So don't feel like society will sometimes reward one more than other, depending on your social circle or your culture. But it's the same coin. I feel the heavy energy of the new year, even though I don't even celebrate. Yeah, because it's in the culture. It's in the air, right? You see 1/1/26. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of the subliminal messaging is like, this is the year where you have to fix yourself or change yourself. So I'd like everyone to zero in on this aspect. Okay, I'm doing well when I'm fill in the blank. I went to the gym 5 days in a row. That's me doing well. Then, if I fall off, like I can't go, my body hurts. I do 10, 20, 30 days with no sugar. I was doing well. Now I'm not doing well. I want you to examine if that even resonates. Because if one is you doing well and being a good person on a some subconscious level, that's what the messaging is, you can't possibly sustain that. It sounds kind of weird, right? It sounds like, well, yeah, if I'm more go with the flow, a little more neutral about it, of course I'm just going to like fall and become into degeneracy and not even care and not even try. I promise you it's not true. I'm doing really well and then I'm not doing well. There is a lot of judgment in that paradigm, and judgment is dense. It's not wrong, but it's heavier. And it looks at life through a lens that's very small picture, not big picture, right? Loses the forest for the trees. Like at the end of 42 years, the cumulative effect on your body is not going to be, well, that one day you didn't have sugar 5 days in a row, and then there was that one day you did, right? It's not going to be it. What's going to matter is the big picture. It'll matter more. It says, well, you were constantly judging yourself for 50 years based on your, right? Oh, you were judging every day as good or bad based on your behavior for 50 years. Well, yeah, that's probably more stress than, okay, there's a little more flexibility in the structure. Can you kind of feel that? Even more than good or bad is my measuring standard is weak or strong. I suspect it's familial. Great insight. Huge cultural messaging, right? It's you're strong if you maintain that. You have good discipline, strength, willpower to have gone to the gym for 75 days in a row. It's never actually enough because your quote-unquote weakness is going to happen too at some point. And so you can kind of feel into, what's the pride? What's the boost? What's the ego in doing the good thing? And see if you can feel into this. This can be subtle. It can be uncomfortable that I'm even talking about it, right? You could tap like I am just even exploring this. Wait a minute. What's the hit I get off of, okay, I'm being good. I'm on target. I fell off. I had a day where I ate a bunch of bad food. Now I'm bad, right? There's a whole emotional kick in both directions. There's a lot of self-referential energy going on there that elevates, I'm being good, instead of just like, I'm living life. What's actually matters to me. What's the output? What's the outcome that matters? Do any of you care if I slept all day and just did exactly enough to do this call for you? Do you care if I worked really hard on it? Is the call better if I pushed myself to make it happen? Do any of you know? Do any of you care if, Evan didn't eat any sugar this year? Who cares? Right? What's the outcome? What's the point? If it's a health thing, look at health from the bigger picture. Your stress plays into health. How you relate to yourself plays a ton into health. Pushing yourself through judging good, bad, strong, weak, keeping track of every calorie or every time you eat sugar or don't. I imagine the point of doing this is for your health, right? I imagine the point of the goal is for something that contributes to you or others. Is it really sustainable to approach yourself this way, approach your life this way? I'd love to know what's coming up. I'm not doing this as a formal round. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I prefer to just kind of flow with it like this. And so let's see what the comments are around this. Does that touch any nerves? Does it resonate? It's how you're relating to yourself in the end. And I know that's kind of my shtick, right? Relationship versus repair. That's what's going to make this sustainable or not. I know part of you can feel that. You're not gonna... Perfect comment, Marlene. I'm a human, not a machine. Exactly. We want to like hack ourselves with programs, and I'm doing this cleanse and this diet and this thing, and like I'll do that and then I'll do that, and then that should get me on track. The cleanse could be great for you. How are you approaching it? What's your actual mindset? What is the point? Is it actually good for you? Do you understand why you're doing it in the context of what we did the last 2 days, connecting to what really matters to you? And my life trajectory in a lot of ways has just been this work clearing out all the layers of other stuff that wasn't actually what mattered. And I still have a long way to go. Right? But if I think about some of the things, I was such a disciplined dude. Right? In a lot of ways, it's my wiring. And so people will think like I'm doing that through whatever, willpower. But people are different types. People operate in different ways. So I am someone who will record 365 Course in Miracles videos in a year and have them all up. But that's a personality type. There's a lot of stuff I can't do that you all can. And there's a lot of like bigger picture things, right? It's all necessary part of the fabric. We all need to make this like sort of company in the world together. But the peeling away of the noise, which is like, I want to practice this because I actually need to do this in order to be impressive, in order to stand out. I need to know everything there is to know about music theory so I can sound smart. There were so many things that didn't actually matter to the real goal, what actually moved me, right? Which was the playing of the music, or this, which I didn't even know was a thing when I was like 25. Whatever it is I'm doing here, I was not visualizing it when I was 25. Right? Didn't exist in my world because I didn't know about it. So it might as well have not existed at all. So in this shifting of what's the point, Evan? Why are you doing any of this? Okay, then does the diet, does the work ethic, does the I am going to do this video every day, does it contribute to the goal? And if not, what in here is making me decide to do it? What is the program that's saying you need to do that? So got some more comments. This is shifting my entire world. Well, great. I am glad to hear that. That's a powerful statement, shifting your entire world. So many things that didn't really matter. That just hit deep. Yeah, it does, right? Forgive me for hitting deep, but it is kind of, it's just like, let's save ourselves time and not spend another year trying to be disciplined and really have a year that we can check a box and said we did something that doesn't really matter to your bigger purpose, your bigger vision. Marlene says, ask, will it matter 7 days from now? Yeah, great question. 70 years, right? I feel lazy because I'd rather do nothing. Just kind of veg out and hibernate, bare minimum. I realize how tired I am. Yeah, and that's the listening to the body thing, right? That is like motivation, the things we talked about the last 2 days, and I said on both of those calls, right? I understand the sort of privilege, luxury of talking about like, well, what inspires me, right? There's millions and millions of people on the planet who don't have that luxury. But if you are physically exhausted, if you are depleted, if you're going through something really stressful, etc., it's also a luxury. And it's also important to think, to zoom out, right? Because if you think about the long-term health and the sustainable energy thing, what's going to matter more in 2028? That in 2026 I was super exhausted and burnt out, and I couldn't even think about what my priorities are because my brain didn't have the ability, because it's just so overworked. But I pushed really hard anyway. Again, no one gives us a trophy for that. Where are we going to be in 2028 if we keep doing that? So 2028 probably better if you cut work in half sometimes and you make less money and you accept the consequences, because it's a trade-off. Right? And it's hard to do that. We want to have it all, right? Let's do a little round on this. This is how it's coming up for me, right? So let's say, even though I want to do all of this, I want to get proper rest, I want to also be super inspired and clear and have sustainable energy and accomplish all my goals. And it's hard working within the physical limitations of this body. And I choose to have compassion for myself, even though this is really hard. I feel like I need a week to just lay in bed. And there's a million reasons I can't do that. And a million other parts of me that would not be okay with that. But I want to do all of it. And I choose to honor and accept myself anyway. So even though I want to do all of it, I want all of the rest and listening to my body, and to work out and accomplish all my goals, and to make this my best year ever, and to be softer and more relaxed with myself. And it feels like sometimes those things are in conflict. Some of them probably are. And I choose to honor and accept myself anyway. Let's go through the points now and say, this is hard. It's hard to feel like I need a lot of rest. It's hard to feel tired on one hand, but maybe inspired by other projects or goals. It's hard to connect to that inspiration and motivation and feel like I can live a life that actually works for me. There are parts of me that want to be able to say, this year I bunkered down and did all of these things. And I fixed my whole business and got out of debt and worked out every day. And part of me that's already exhausted. because this is the nature of this game, where there's all of this programming of what I'm supposed to do with my life, and what a good year would be, and what makes me a good person. And I don't realize how subtle that can be, because I'm doing well when I, hit all my deadlines and hit the gym every day. And if I rest more or miss a self-created deadline, I might internally frame that as, didn't do well, not doing well. Which is a way of relating to myself that judges my very value based on what I'm doing or producing. And that runs really, really deep. And we all would like to think, well, I don't look at another human being on the street and say I see their value based on what they produce or how successful they are. But is that actually true? It's okay to acknowledge just whatever programming has been put there. If you meet someone who's the top person in your field, or just some guy at the grocery store, do we really not, put some value judgments? Do we not sometimes speak to them or think about them completely differently? And perhaps even more importantly, are we doing that to ourselves? We already know we are. We have thoughts about my value or my worth, or it being a good year or a good week because I accomplished more. There's nothing wrong with being proud of accomplishments. But I have to look at the relationship underneath it all. Because if it's based on judgment and value based on output or accomplishments, that is just simply not sustainable. Even if I'm fine with it, even if I can own it and say all that matters to me in life is success, there's ways to do it that are sustainable or not. And this lens of pushing myself and judging will eventually hit a ceiling, if it hasn't already. And it can be really disarming to the system to even imply there could be another way. What could that even look or feel like? But I'm open to exploring that. Because it's going to feel like it moves with the energy. of life itself, which does not care about our ideas of productivity. Life has a pace. Nature moves in a certain way. We can work with it or try to fight it. We work in a certain way. You can try to push yourself to be extroverted if you're not. And people will compliment you for forcing yourself. And you can say, I fought my own nature for 10 years. Isn't that awesome? But does it actually work for you? Is it sustainable? If you override your body, how sustainable is that? Right. The body says we're tired or we're not. I can listen or not listen. There's all manner of things I can eat or consume that might override that signal for a couple hours. But is that sustainable? So I'm open to working and being with myself in a way that's aligned with who I actually am and what the energy is actually telling me. All right, let's take a breath there. Yeah, we touched on this earlier today. It's more a matter for me of self-discovery, right? What works for me? And then when I create, for example, calls like this, events, what I say yes to, what I say no to, when it aligns with what actually works for me, it just makes sense. It just kind of flows in a way that's not particularly draining. I also can overdo it if I were to just try to do, okay, we're going to do one of these calls every day for the next 365 days. Like, yeah, it probably would burn me out. So I don't do it. Could I grow a bigger audience if I did that? Probably. But this is what it is to actually work with nature in a lot of ways, right? So, love to know your thoughts. What's coming up for you around all of this? I would also like to let you all know that when I talked about the call we did earlier today, that was in the group I have. It's called the Inner Harmony Collective. It's the natural way to continue this work we've been doing here. If you feel like it resonates, if you like this group setting, off camera, processing, working through based on what people are sharing in the comments, that's exactly what we do. We work through it in real time. And we did kind of both, two different approaches today, sometimes tapping, some guided exploration, some discussion. It kind of flows in and out of those. We meet at least 3 times a month. And if you're live or not, it's all there on recordings. It's definitely different than like the YouTube videos. As you saw, you got a little taste of here. We're able to go a lot deeper. The rounds, they build on each other. People's comments shape where we go next. And because it's the same of us week after week, there's this kind of momentum that happens in a group. It's very cool. I've really been enjoying it. And some of my favorite rounds I've ever done, I think I mentioned that yesterday, really kind of happened inside that space. Because it's just different. It's different in a group like that. Quite similar in many ways to what we did during these 3 days. If you like the format and you want more of that continuity, this is exactly the way to do that. There's also community space in there, like little forums, so you can post questions for the Q&A, and even if you can't be there live. And all of the calls that we've done, they're there in a library you can watch anytime, and they're organized by topics, so you can just take a look and say, oh, there was a call on money, which there was one. Belief in yourself, these different topics. Let me go back to that one. That was January 5th, 2020, whatever, right? Click on that and you can watch it. I only open it a couple times a year because I like that having a cohort, like, okay, this is the group for this next, 4 months or whatever it is. It closes on January 11th. Feedback's been really good. So if you want to take a look at that, all the details are there on that link. I'll also put it in the chat. Feels like a good match for you. If not, you're always welcome to stay and do the free stuff we do here on YouTube. But I wanted to let you know about that, and let me put those links in the chat for you all as well. The calls are similar to in times to what we did this week. So one call a month is at noon on Monday. One call is at 7 p.m. on a Monday, so that you have 2 weekday ones, different time zones, work in the evening, and 1 weekend call every month, Saturday at noon. Let's see, we have a comment here. I had my first, oh, cool. Hi, yes, that was your first call today. I had my first IHC call today. It was so wonderful. And afterwards, I transplanted a baby pine tree, something I couldn't even imagine doing yesterday. Wow, awesome. Well, I'm glad if the call we did today could have contributed in any way to that. Yeah, it was a really fun call today. I really enjoyed it. And I like the people that are there, which makes my life easy. So, any thoughts, any feelings coming up? I got some time. We still got a little time before the top of the hour. And as always, if there are some questions and good conversations that might get sparked from those questions or comments, I will hang out a little later. Other comments, that was interesting that there's more to life than success. Yeah, and that, it sounds cliche, but it's as it starts to become felt, it really does, transform a lot of how you look at things. And I was mentioning, I think it was the first day, how if, for example, like when my YouTube hits 5,000 subscribers, it's like 4.5. If anyone's watching and you want to add to that, go for it. Click subscribe. I would love it. But also, when it hits 5,000, I'll go, oh man, cool, 5,000. And then an hour later, I'm still just Evan living Evan's life. Nothing will change fundamentally. It won't change how I talk to myself. It won't change how I feel about life or the world, right? This work does that. External experiences are cool. They are just that. They are experiences. They can be transformative if we reflect on them, if we take the lessons from them. You can certainly celebrate them. You can certainly enjoy them. But again, if I get to 5K or whatever it is, first of all, it's just a number on a screen, unless I think of it as real people. And so if I think to do things to get the number up, that's a very, very different way of operating in a very different emotional space than, wait, let me think about the people. The people I see on these calls, the people I talk to, the people that take sessions with me one-on-one and such. Who are they as people? What is helpful? What am I learning? For me, that sustains the energy, not the number going up. It's just not fulfilling. This is fulfilling. A bigger number can help me do more of this. But that's what I'm talking about with the theme of these 3 days, right? If I connect to being here with you, or I can connect to, for example, like I really love when I get to do the tag team tappings, or the someone will do an interview on the channel. We have a really good conversation. I'll get more people will be more willing to do interviews if that number is higher. That's just how it is. But see how the number or the goal or the diet or whatever, it's in service of the thing that actually matters to me. And so the more I keep playing with that concept, right? What am I connected to? Why do I want that? Trust me, my ego wants 100,000 subscribers, whatever, right? There is a big part, okay, look, you did it. You're better than other people. Like, that's there. Until you've totally transcended that. But that's not sustainable. You can sustain that for years, part of me did that. But it's not enough. And obviously that wasn't all that drove me. But I can definitely feel the difference. And the more you practice this, the more in tune you get to those differences. And the more experience you get with it, the more you can begin to trust that there actually is something to this. That it actually works and actually flows with the energy, the source of that energy for you, right? I forget. There was just Adyashanti, his teacher, he retired, I really liked. He had a quote about this, and it was coming to my mind just as I was thinking about it. But he did say something. There was something about there's like a vitality source that comes from being connected. In his case, it was teaching, right? Like, no one really that I know, little kids do sometimes, but just have like infinite energy to just do whatever, right? If I come to this call, for example, energy comes up to me, whereas if I didn't do this tonight and if I had the night off and I was just chilling, I would feel not the same energy, right? Doing this connects it. It kind of kicks it online. And then the fact that you all actually showed up and are putting things in the chat, that's like exciting. It's like, wow, people actually care what I have to say. So it fuels itself. That's why it's sustainable. That's why, unless something radical changes, I intend to keep doing it, right? Make more videos. It's because of what it results in. So I will stop just talking about myself and see what else comes up for others. Okay, we have this. This helped create a bit more space for me. I'm looking forward to exploring more. Not easy, but worth the work. Yeah, and in the end, it's a lot easier than trying to do it the other way, for sure. It's just hard to stop a moving truck, which is what we're doing when we try to like question our way of doing things, right? We have decades of momentum. It's like a giant garbage truck rolling down a hill, and we're trying to go like, stop, like, wait, right? It just wants to keep, no, push, do this, no, do this, tell yourself you're bad, you got to go to the gym, you should have done this. Like, that has momentum. It's uncomfortable to stop and turn into that momentum and go, wait a second, y'all, what's this actually about? What are we doing here? And your mind will say, we don't have time to ask that question. Look at all these things you have to do. Marie, hi Marie. This work you offer is true mastery. Oh, thanks, Marie. I'm grateful for you being here. Is this in service to what really matters to me? Such a great question. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's a good question. Because many things are not in that big picture, right? One thing I'll actually phrase things like, if there's a gig or something, and if I look on paper, it might be hard to say no, because like, well, technically I have that night off and I could make whatever that amount of money is. And it's like, okay, at the end of the tax year, is this $100 going to be like, oh, if only I had done that gig that Tuesday night in February? I know it's no. So there has to be something else about the gig that makes it an absolute yes or exciting. Now, some gigs, the money is yes. That's going to make a dent. And it's like, all right. Makes it a lot easier to say yes. And just be honest. It doesn't matter what it is. If something pays you a lot, that can inspire you. That's fine. If someone was like, hey, Evan, you're going to get $1,000 to go do a YouTube live tomorrow. Yeah. Am I going to have more motivation and energy and excitement? Absolutely. That's fine. Different things will be inspired. Now, making my whole life about just making money, the number go up, that's different. That's not what I'm talking about. After yesterday's class, I had so much energy. I thought this is what zero resistance feels like. Well, that's impressive. If you were able to, I didn't do that for you in one class. So you were able to get yourself to a place to, zero resistance is really kind of rare for most of us, because of these constant background programming things. So even when it's relatively clean, there can still be like thousands of, yeah, but I'm not really good at that. Yeah, but I'm not really smart. Yeah, I should have been doing this faster. Oh, I should have started this 6 months ago, right? When it's clean, it's just like, I am doing this thing now because I like it and I'm interested, and I'm not really thinking at all. I'm not thinking about how long it takes. I'm not thinking about the end result. Or if it's tedious, the reason I'm doing it inspires it. It makes it goes back to that drama-free part where we said discipline without the drama, because there's a connection to why I'm doing it. The drama and stuff, it's good to tap or parts work with the voice. The voice that's like, oh, you gotta do taxes. Oh, I hate taxes. Oh, the government doesn't use the money. All of that is a waste of your time and energy. Just do them. But of course you can just say that. It's meaningless to just say that. But that's what the parts work is. Hey, why are you so upset about doing the taxes? What's going on there? No one likes doing them. What's going on? What does it trigger? What does it touch on? Some things on YouTube here. It's nice to hear you talk about yourself because it's a good neutral point for us to see what the wisdom is. It is mastery. You're a great teacher. Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here. Cool. Any other questions, comments, practicalities around this? If you are in the group, we can continue this conversation as much as you like in the following weeks or in the community there. But for anyone else here, let's give it a couple more minutes. Practical examples. Feel free to share a specific situation in your own life. Those are a little more fun to dive into. I know you might not necessarily want to do that on YouTube, but we talk about how would I practically apply this in this kind of situation. Because that's what matters most to me, is that you feel like you can actually use it. I'll give a moment for that, and if not, we will say goodnight. Kind of on the theme of the day, I can kind of talk about this stuff all day, which is why I know it's the right thing for me. Because part of me, I'm not waiting for it to end. I'm like, I hope somebody has questions, right? That's how you know it's in alignment. Not in alignment would be like, all right, hurry up. It's almost 8. When can I? Okay, it's 8. I promised 8. Let's get out of here. I'm so thankful that that's not my relation. Trust me, I've done hundreds of gigs where I'm staring at the clock. I finally found peace with taxes. Good. Thank you, Evan. You are an example of what alignment looks like. Thanks for all the compliments tonight, everybody. It's good practice for me to just accept them. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all being here. But I do think it is fair to say that something like, at least with this aspect of work, like you can see it, because I keep making the videos not out of willpower and force. It's interesting to me. I could talk about this stuff all day. And so what are the ways I can create something where I get to do this thing that I'm interested in and get to talk to other people who are interested in it? Right. So that's kind of the foundation. That's to take it back to the theme for the last 3 days, right? It can start as simple as that. What are the things I can enjoy? People that love to play video games, there's YouTube channels of people that have made lives out of, their whole thing is talking about video games, and they play games, and they can probably write them all off as tax deductions because they make YouTube videos reviewing the games and talking about the history of games. Like, that's kind of genius. But clearly that's something they connect to. But you can imagine there would have been people in their lives growing up said, well, video games, that's a waste of time. And meanwhile, now they have these like really cool lives and businesses centered around video games. So it takes some time to look at that as well. What in you says, well, I can connect, I can find inspiration around topic A, B, or C, but I don't, like, who cares? Or that's not going to mean anything, or how can that actually translate practically into my life? But that's what you work with. That's what you continue to feel into, and let the actual energy of it guide the next steps and inform you. And that balance of, it will present things to you, and then there will be drama-free discipline required at times to say, okay, I have to actually, like, start the YouTube channel. I have to buy a camera or whatever, or make the video on my phone, etc. So cool. Well, I really enjoyed spending this time with all of you for these 3 days. For example, earlier today, this is comment just came in. You made some comment about one cookie or doing yoga for 6 hours. Made me laugh out loud. Okay, thanks. I don't remember what I said, but I'm glad what I said made you laugh. Try to bring some levity to all of this. It can get a little heavy, but yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Yes, thank you so much, Marie. Thank you for being here. And yeah, some of you, I will see next week in the collective. Feel free to join that if you'd like to join. Open until, what was it, January 11th. Look forward to seeing you one way or another soon, maybe here on YouTube. Have a great rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you next